Today on Van Helsing, we talk about Vanessa Helsing and The Rising. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Doing the robot over there?
Yeah, it's just the
Hello,
go-to dance.
everybody. Dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's new after show, Van Helsing, a new sci-fi show that we're all very excited to talk about. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV. And joining me, I have a great panel. Introduce yourselves.
What up, peeps? I'm Andrew Mena. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Mena or on Instagram at the Andrew Mena.
Awesome. And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane.
Excellent. Van Helsing.
Delightful.
A new modern day twist on the famous lore of Van Helsing.
So exciting.
Vampires, as we all know and love. What were your quick overall thoughts of the show? Andrew, let's start with you.
Oh man, let's start with me. Okay. Well, to be honest, that first episode is so like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and every other zombie show that I was really disappointed with the way that it just goes. I think there's some interesting stuff that happens in it. Stuff that's very like, oh, you know, a betraying friend and oh, like the will they won't they between the, you know, the doctor and the soldier and I'm sure some other things we'll talk about it. For the most part, it's just very long, drawn out. Like, hey, you wanna have another show about a bunch of people like waiting in a room for
Something to
die?
happen?
Yeah, something awful. No, I don't want that. So I'm excited that especially at the end of season 2, episode 2, we get this kind of sensation that they're not going in that direction. That it's going to be much more hopeful, you know?
Absolutely. Carrie, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of post-apocalyptic stuff, but even this one I was like, I'm not loving the zombie vampire mashup feel.
Okay.
I like that they're already semi-introducing that there are different classes of vampire, though.
Yes.
Because there's kind of the elite and then the underlings, like they're the more animal ones. And I hope they develop that more because I don't need all the vampires to be like fancy hoity-toity ones, but I don't want them all to just be like grunting animal,
Ferals.
Pretty much zombies. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I like vampires. I want a vampire show.
Exactly.
But otherwise, I mean, it's an interesting concept, and I'm invested enough that I really want to see where it goes.
Yes, I completely agree, and I liked how you brought up the classes. Apparently, there are 3 classes that we know of. Of these vampires,
The feeders,
quote unquote.
right?
There's ferals, feeders, and elites.
Okay. So the elites we saw in episode 2.
Yes, and
And
we'll
Mrs.
definitely
Cleavage and the
get
other guy.
into it. Yeah, we'll definitely get into it. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't sold on the first episode, but I would highly encourage people to keep watching because the second episode, so much information, so many questions were answered in the second one.
Speaking
I was like,
Romanian.
all right, yes, I'm definitely in on the second episode.
Yes.
So, you know, let's talk about the lead, Van Helsing, really.
Vanessa Van Helsing.
The titular character, Vanessa.
BVH.
Vanessa Seward. How they established her and introduced her character. Were you expecting her to be as badass as she seems, being in a comatose state and waking up, and now having these blood powers, quote unquote?
I'm not super surprised because at least in the second episode they established that she has at least basic self-defense fighting skills. So waking up out of coma, there's all those other issues with that. But
Right.
you know, her body it pretty much heals itself. So we'll ignore bed sores. We'll ignore your muscles not working right.
Deteriorating.
Yeah, thank you, atrophy.
Yeah.
But so then I'll go with reflexes. She can fight, as in like it's just go mode. So I'm like, okay, cool. I want to say real quick. Some of the chat said, I gotta say the show's like Winona Earp and Z Nation had a baby, was bitten by a vampire.
That's a
believe that.
very good assessment.
Chat room, we are listening and reading.
Yeah.
Feel free to join in.
Chat with us.
Yes.
I agree with
What do you
that.
think of her fighting?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, episode 2 is really the real demonstration of that. Episode 1 was just this like, oh, look, she can murder, I guess. I don't know. I was just kind of like,
Murder?
oh, whoa. Well, you know, I call every kill murder, but when she kills the zombies and she's just stabbing and just keeps
Yeah.
stabbing, and you're just like, whoa, great, okay, you're good, you're done. Lady, okay, is this who you are? All right. Because that's great. It's just I don't
Panic
know.
mode after waking up.
Sure.
Maybe?
But
don't think that
wouldn't
was
it
panic.
be cooler if she wasn't and she was just like skapow, calm, collected, making things happen. I'm awesome. But
Maybe that'll be
the
episode
way
3.
She was, maybe you're right. Maybe she's gonna get there. But I did like the fight between her and Tommy in the hallway in the second episode, where you get to
Yes.
kind of just see her just being a general, real badass in like a realistic and totally believable way. And she just kind of like she puts her elbow in his like face. Is just like, you are gonna, do what I say.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Vanessa, because in the first episode we don't really understand who this character is yet, but in the second one we got like just an understanding of who she was before. Her big introduction in the first one, that like she is a strong female. She has that mother bear nature side of her, being a mother to Dylan, which we'll get into a little bit. But the fact that she can protect herself and she knows what's right and wrong, I enjoy. And I was like, all right, already as a female protagonist, just in general, I can understand her and root for her throughout the season.
I love that about her in episode 2. In episode 1, it's this frustrating force of her just generally being contrarian because she doesn't want to be caged, because none of us do, but she doesn't know the context of the situation. So she's just lashing out needlessly at Soldier Guy, who is just like, I'm literally just doing what I was told. I literally have no idea what's going on.
Yes. What do you think of Vanessa and her daughter? That whole mother-daughter relationship that we see, mostly in the second episode.
I like it. I feel they're a believable mother-daughter pair. And back to your comment of like the strong female protagonist, I like that she's not too overly, I'm going to be strong woman character. It's like, yeah, I've met those people. I can believe that person, or like it doesn't seem far-fetched. It's not trying too hard. And so her with her daughter seems like a normal relationship. It was a little weird though when she's looking through the house with the birthday cake. I would have been turning on more lights.
Right.
And I think something would have been wrong if she hadn't said anything. That as long as it went
That
on.
was a really long moment of her being like, everything's fine. I'm just
Everything's
so walking.
peachy keen.
I think that was just that slow buildup of what traumatic event happened
She was
following
having
it.
a rough day. She could have been, given a silent treatment a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed their relationship also, and I thought it was actually really sweet and believable. I think that like that young Dylan actress is like real solid. She totally got me. In that, especially in that moment where don't you smile? It
was
went
so
on.
cute.
It was really cute. It went on a little long, but it was
True.
really
True
cute.
that.
Cute. So I like them together. There was that awful moment in the first one where he's just like, yeah, if you have a daughter, she's dead. Like that is the reality of the situation. Sorry. And you see that she's super broken by it, and you're like, oh, well, now we have no context for how their relationship was. It really strained? Did they not get to say they loved each other? No, they did.
Well, my question is too: do we really believe that Dylan is dead?
I mean,
We
no,
did not
of course
see
not.
her body actually get killed physically on screen. It's just implied that she's gone.
There's always a chance if you don't actually see the body.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I mean,
And
the
even if
last
she
time-
is, potentially if she bites her mom, she'll get reversed.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Yes.
And I mean, the last time that we're to believe that Vanessa saw her daughter was when she's like bleeding out as she's dying. I would love to point out that as she's dying, she gives her directions. Like she's just like, I'm dying. Here's what you have to do.
Call my
Go
friend.
help Susan. Then call 911. Then
No,
call
no,
your
not
father.
help Susan. It's get Susan.
Yeah,
Get
go
Susan.
get Susan.
Call 911,
And
then call your father.
Yeah. I just
No,
love that
it makes
that's the third
sense.
one.
It's
Yeah.
I'm just
Susan
surprised
is
that
in
the
it doesn't make
child's
sense.
not
I'm
like,
saying I love
I need
it.
to call 911 right now.
Yeah.
Right. But it makes sense because Susan is the physically nearest
Closest, yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And then you call 911.
Yeah.
and it's
I'm
like,
not at all questioning the logic
Yes.
But the fact that even Vanessa, during situations like that, she can still think clearly.
Yeah.
I think that, those
very
traits
indicative
will
of-
definitely help her in the future.
I
She's
agree.
very calculated. I enjoy.
Yes.
But during their bonding moments just before all this really happens, that terrible attack, we learn more about the volcano that erupts. That pretty
Kind
much
of.
causes the stir of everybody.
I guess there's so
Question
little
mark?
we know about this volcano.
Yeah. Well, the
This vol-
volcano blocks out the sun.
Yes,
I noticed
true.
that because there was a part where I'm like, isn't it daylight right now? Can the vampires be outside? But it looks like
ash.
it's, like an overcast day where not really.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
really sun.
Yes, okay.
That's the one thing I will say. During that moment of like the final explosion, and you see the doctor kind of looking up like, oh God, this is not a good situation. That's the moment I was like, oh, okay, great. this volcano, it's involved somehow. Please tell me more.
I want to know if there's other vampire units in other places, because
I'm hoping so.
if the way it spreads so much already, I don't believe it's just those two elites that are doing it, because there's too many spread out ones. So I hope we get into that.
Like a vampire
And the thing is, we don't even really know where the elites are.
Yeah.
We just see them in their own isolated scenes.
Yeah,
It's like they could be anywhere in the world, but they know of Vanessa. So, I mean, it does beg the question, how many more vampires are out there before this situation even happened?
Very true.
And then, but what we learned of the volcano is that it started in Wyoming, spread westward, so maybe the east part of the country is more like a safe zone.
Maybe.
It could be.
And we also learned via the news that that they're on a even super volcano, what they call a caldera, which is pretty much
he said it with such accents. He's like,
crater caused by a volcano that's like 100 times bigger than the one that we just saw. So how big is the situation going to happen, and how many more vampires is this going to create?
I mean,
good question.
This is the question.
Questions. That was a couple. Yeah.
What do you think, though?
I mean, I'm just curious if it's just that they are vampires who are taking advantage of this natural freak incident where, you know, it blotted out the sun for them, or have they engineered this in some fashion, or like, what is this, like a crazy James Bond villain thing where there are vampires feeding, like, oh, we're feeding alkali metals into the Earth's core in order to create more eruptions and further create. How is this volcano and these vampires linked? I'm so curious.
Well, they said it happens every couple 100 years.
Yeah,
right, they do say
every
that.
100 years.
Right, every 100 years, exactly. Like a very Scooby-Doo.
It's a dormant volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could have happened before and had another different kind of vampire outbreak in a different kind of way that we don't know about.
Maybe.
But obviously it wasn't successful because they're still humans. So I want to go with the bigger volcano would just be more of a natural disaster, and the vampires are just taking advantage
They're just taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Or
But they might have known it was coming.
Yeah.
Like it's part of their timeline that they go, hey, this is going to be our time because there won't be sunlight. We should go outside.
That makes me question,
Makes
like, the elites, now that they're more elite, not to keep repeating myself, but we learned that it happens every 100 years. What if these elites have been around for the earlier volcano eruptions?
Or for several.
Yeah, for several. So, like, how old are they?
Yeah.
How long have they been around?
Yeah.
Is this just
Well,
like
they are from the
Purge
old
to them?
country.
The old
Yeah,
country.
they are from.
With the Romanian
Yes.
accents.
Yeah.
Which,
And
like,
speaking Romanian.
Dracula
It says
reference.
speaking Romanian.
It did say that if you
On the
watched it with
subtitle,
subtitles.
yes.
Mhm.
I could
Which
not
I
translate.
always do.
I do too, actually.
I was like, I don't
love
know what they're
subtitles.
saying. I have to. I was watching Penny Dreadful and I had them on, and I turned them off because it was a little too distracting. I'm like, nope, I have to put it back on.
It's important to
Dreadful's
get some
such a good
reading
show.
done. So that's what I'm about.
Yeah. Or it's more you just can't hear it well enough, and you're like, wait, what'd they say? And then I don't have to rewind and go back.
That's true. You can always hear what people are like screaming in the woods or whatever when you're like watching with subtitles. You're like, oh, yep, got it all.
Yes. Or the
Yes.
background people that maybe you couldn't hear what they said specifically. You're like, oh, that's what they said.
Yep.
Yeah, so we learned about Vanessa and the volcano that erupted back in 2016. So, very timely.
Back
Way-
in, you mean
way
now?
Back when.
Back in now.
Back in now.
So, eventually the world's going to go to hell. Sorry,
In
guys.
3 years. It only
So
took 3
Van
years.
Helsing's in
Yeah.
the future. That's amazing.
Present and future.
Yeah, by
That's how
3
they-
years.
Yeah.
It kind of makes
Yeah.
it scary, but it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, what do
how
you
they
guys
make it
think of that?
sci-fi.
Because that's not, it's futuristic, but it's such an immediate future. Like, so many
Yeah.
of the older movies are, like, set in 2015, and they, like, make it
I mean,
crazy futuristic.
think
This
they-
is more
Right,
just,
like-
like,
Now.
This is the perfect device because you're basically saying, yeah, all technology died right now. So anything we have right now is going to be in this or in the show, and anything more advanced we will not include.
We're now
In the next 3
Yeah.
years, it doesn't happen because there are vampires. Sorry.
I mean, it's
No
an interesting
development.
concept, so everyone can, like, understand it now. But literally in 3 years past 2019, when we're in 2020, it's going to be irrelevant.
yeah, we're going to look back and be like, wow, that show was dated.
Completely dated. And I was like, it's good now, dated later.
No, I mean, it's just a good device to use for any given thing.
Yeah, true.
Actually, I was going to say random side note. Well, part of this. What do you guys think of that they're doing a vampire show now? Because there kind of felt like there was a vampire time period, and then there was kind of a zombie time period. And then are those in our pop culture still going?
I mean,
or are
it's
they
gotta-
over? Or is this a hybrid then?
I feel like this is a hybrid because vampires and zombies are still popular. So
say,
why not mix the two?
You've got to see the influence of like The Walking Dead on that first episode, and it just is frustratingly clear that maybe the show isn't that first episode at all, and that's probably something that was kind of like finagled with by the the kind of producers or whoever, the people who pull the strings, and we're like, this is what it needs to be. And I'm like, but it's not that. Well, but zombies are
maybe that's the pull to get people
very
in.
well.
Yeah.
And then we'll just see where the show develops, because
I hope
that will
so.
be the interesting part.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have their already set demographic and fan base for the show, so which is really smart. Just play off of it. But like, it'll be interesting to see how many people actually tune into this, and every week. But people love it, so that's why they keep making these kind of shows, which I'm totally fine with. Let's get into Axel Marine, who is in charge of taking care of Sleeping Beauty, aka Vanessa. How about this character? What do you think of him? He seems like he's a very straightforward guy. He sticks to his directions and orders and whatnot, and he knows right from wrong.
I immediately liked him, because we see him in episode 2 where it's when they first meet the doctor and he's being the nice one. He's playing good cop in the situation. So, and then from the first episode, I liked him that he's not necessarily the perfect guy. So but he's, you just immediately like, I like you. You seem like a nice person, and like, I can trust you. And he doesn't necessarily have any hidden agenda, but he'll do what he thinks is right.
Andrew?
I feel like he's very Captain America-y. He's got a little bit of snark too, but he's definitely like a Captain America character. He's very, the friend, the betraying friend says, oh, he's very by the book, so he has a reputation even for being that way, for being kind of a Captain America Boy Scout kind of guy. Yeah. So that's great. I mean, he's enjoyable. Like you said, he's very likable. I think he's obviously got a thing with the doctor, so I'm interested to see where that goes.
I know, me too.
Because I assumed initially it was like, oh, that's the love interest for Van Helsing, and then the guy, when he's coming in, he's like, oh, so it's just been you and the doctor all alone for a while?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, do tell, you and the doctor, okay. Is she dreamy? She sounds dreamy. So I was also really excited to see her in the second episode, not as a vampire, because I also hate that these vampires hiss like cats.
Not a fan of the hissing either. And,
and they
the
do
sound
it
effect.
to each other's faces, like. Like,
and the sound effect distortion they've done for like how they talk and how they make noise, I'm not thrilled with that
I heard
either.
some bear sounds in their growls, definitely.
It's okay, but that's a thing that could change as the show develops too, because I've noticed on some shows, like there's something maybe at the beginning you're like, I don't like it, and then they kind of just phase it out, and then you don't even notice it changed.
Hopefully, yes.
How they evolve.
They're like...
I mean, if you think about it, a lot of different variations of vampires have the hissing sound. So
They're kind of like cats.
It's actually,
in a way.
Yeah. It just shows their dominance.
That's interesting. I mean, I think it's interesting that there's always that like feline kind of connection, it seems like.
Yeah.
Cats and bats, but there's also the kind of From Dusk Till Dawn thing, which is that they're like lizardish. Which I think is a different snake-like, maybe. So I don't know.
But that kind of hiss too.
Hissing every which way. It's just, you can't avoid it. Just any creatures that hiss become vampires.
I mean, honestly, it didn't really bother me that much. I didn't really think about it.
The distortion sound bothered me more.
It
like when she's
me of
talking.
The musical Cats, and I was just like, oh, the musical Cats. This isn't scary, funny. It's just musical.
No jellicle cats here.
We're vamps. We're vamps. All right, come on now.
How great would that be, though? We digress. But let's talk about these big bad vampires. We have Rebecca and Dimitri from Radiant. They seem like they're the elites. How long had they been around? Do we like them? Because we also learned that they learned about the reversion, the idea that you can go from vampire back to human thanks to Vanessa's blood. But we learned that they're trying these experiments of impregnation.
Oh.
And they want Vanessa because she can be the key to their success.
I want to know why bother doing impregnation when you can just bite someone and make another vampire. So it's like you don't even need to do like the longer term process of a... but then again, it might not be what we're thinking per se, or about like a pregnancy.
That's fair. I mean, that's what we don't know, is they haven't like done a good job at outlining like, oh, what are the vampire struggles? What do the vampires want? And they like touted this show as like, oh, look, this is going to be from the vampires. Like the vampires are in charge of this world. It's like, okay, well then like show us their enterprise. Like it's been 3 years. They're just like still sitting in this one room, like waiting for, oh, the fable is true. Okay, great. Let's move on that. What were you doing before? Like, and you just sitting in this room, like hanging out, robbing blood banks apparently, which is what you guys do.
I think they're lower scale up society, if that makes sense. Like they don't seem like they're like the king and queen type. They seem more like they're the best of what's around. Like they're the high school king and queen, like prom queen idea, because it's like they're probably the best of what they know, but I think on the larger scale, if we see it, they're not as high.
I mean,
So do you think it's more of a, like kind of a governmental system, bureaucratic system, where there's someone bigger than those two?
oh,
yeah.
there has to be. But I mean, I feel like there are also, and maybe a lot of the vampires will probably be this way, but maybe they won't. Is just like that way. These two specifically seem like the kind that like slip to the cracks, like the villains that are always escaping. You know what I mean? They're definitely the kind that are
The rogue
survivors.
ones.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the kind that like over history, over their immortality, have kind of snuck by and like evaded being like in the limelight kind of thing. So
I
they
want to
can
know why
continue.
are they the only ones that seem to be like put together and not
Feral.
frenzy mode?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like, why? Because if they're making vampires, it's one of those, are you once removed so you're automatically a lesser quality?
Yeah. Is it amount of blood that you drink?
Yeah.
Like, what about
Or
what,
it's
what
How
the
do
way
you
pure
that-
is
do?
the source?
How do you achieve that vampirism?
Yeah.
Yeah, or it was the way that they turned vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the more feral and feeder ones were affected by the naturalistic events, whereas maybe these were sired by
Long-term.
someone else.
Yeah, that's the question. Is like did the basically it start like blocking out the sun? Did the volcano erupt? And then vampires just jump and be like, this is amazing, and then just start going, and that's why it spread so fast. Like, or is there some component to like the ash rain that like turned somebody, and then like from there it like, you know what I mean? I'm so curious.
It's like Night of the
lot of questions.
Comet of, a crazy event happened, a natural event in a way, and it just made people change.
I guess so. I guess so.
We'll find out.
I'm so curious.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the thing about the volcanic eruption and whatnot, that we learned that the results happen really fast within
Yes.
seconds.
Yeah.
That you can change. So I don't know. I feel like the elites were created in a different way than this volcano.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, there's that traditional like drinking of the
Drinking
like wrist
siren.
flesh thing,
Yeah.
that we see in a lot of vampire movies. That maybe that'll come into play somehow.
Because,
Perhaps.
like, if this is the vampire lore that they're setting up, I would not want to be a feral vampire. I'm sorry. No way. The elite is where I would go.
Me too.
When that feral vampire returns himself by accident by drinking her blood, they're just like, "Oh, great, cool, you're food now." Anyway, let's move forward with this new information that he gave us.
I want to know if you
It's
can
like
turn
being
back
eaten.
again.
I don't know.
Because they don't address that. Because it's one of those, like, they don't care. So they don't even bother trying to turn him back. And he doesn't even
Interesting.
beg, turn me back.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really annoying to watch and like hard to keep track of. It was like, oh, they were vampire, once human,
If
once
this show were a
vampire again,
comedy.
and now back to human.
I
It's
feel
like,
at least
no
it
one's
should
gonna follow
happen
that.
one time where somebody, well, only that vampire. That would have been the only time it really made sense, is where he changed and then he'd be like, turn me back.
I just need it to happen a bunch. Like, it needs to be. He's like, and then he finds it and he turns back, and then they turn him back.
It might
and then he
happen
finds the blood
later,
again, and he
maybe.
turns again. Like, that would be the greatest joke, ongoing joke. Because if it's just this guy, he just keeps turning back and forth.
He's
now
having
it
an
cannot-
identity crisis.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, I don't know which one I like more, honestly. I've been a vampire for longer at this point. Wait, no, I haven't. That's wrong.
Well, that vampire that was with Rebecca and Dimitri seemed like he was more a part of the elite who was turned back to human, whereas that feeder that we saw at the beginning of
Yeah.
the first episode was more of a feeder feral
Yeah.
one that was
Right.
turned back human.
Someone in the chat
Cool.
said maybe they're trying to bring back their nobility.
Oh.
Oh,
This
I
is the
like
dawning
that.
of the age of vampire nobility.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been 3 years, guys. Move on it.
Yeah. They're being pretty slow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're taking their sweet time.
Yeah, like the first episode.
Ba-boom.
But
Sci-fi.
I mean, even in the first episode, we get the people who come back into that encampment.
Yes.
Pretty
The
much.
relationships are important. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way that they tell the story.
And
is a
set it
little
up.
bit
I mean, because
exhausting.
you have the people, you have Axel and his guys, his Marine guys who like help try to protect everyone, and then you have the civilians that are just plain annoying and want to kill everybody.
girl
Oh,
girl who
girl.
had to murder her sister or
Right.
whatever. Beanie Girl. That's such a bummer, especially because at the end of that episode, they're like, oh, by the way, if people get turned into vampires, she can turn them back, so you don't have to murder them anymore. Did anyone tell anyone that? And then she's just like, good, darn it. She talks like that, right? No?
Maybe in your head.
Okay, cool. Are we watching the same show?
Probably.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think the regular civilians are going to last long because they don't really have much to add other than a headache.
I want the boy with the spear to last a while. I want him to be like secretly the greatest.
I just
Really?
want them to
Yeah.
hurry up and learn better of how to kill similar to zombie things. Hurry up and learn how to kill them faster, because clearly just shooting them doesn't quite do the trick.
Can we talk really quick for like a second about like the rules of engagement for vampires? Because it's always been like, oh, stake through the heart, or like silver bullets or whatever. And like
Or garlic.
none of those. Yeah,
Crucifixes.
garlic. None of those rules. It's just like, yeah, shoot him in the head, I guess. Like,
But you know what?
stab him a lot.
They just shoot them a lot.
They shoot
him or
them,
stab him
which
a
is
lot,
fine.
you guys.
Decapitation is the other one too.
Yeah.
But you know that really adds to the Walking Dead style of killing. But I'm actually okay with the fact that we're getting away from the lore of crosses and garlic and whatnot, because it kind of makes it more modern and more scientific rather than the regular kill.
Yeah, I would just like it to be more scientific than shoot him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm bored
Well, maybe
of villains.
they
who
might
just
have an
shoot.
episode where they get into the specifics, you know,
Yeah,
like
of how it works.
other zombie things are like, okay, we need to hit them in the head because like that's it. You need some
you
sort of
just
brain
splatter
trauma,
the
any
brain.
kind. So
Sure.
maybe in this one they'll have like, okay, you have to destroy the heart any certain way, or you know, get rid of their head or something.
Well, I totally agree. I just feel like that they can die by bullets is boring. I was just like, come on, these are vampires.
But it's not just one. It seems to be like a
It's
lot
like
of
several.
bullets.
It might
before
be
they go
one
down.
in the brain, though. It seems like every time they do the headshots seem to work. So it's just like, okay, so you just have a lot of accurate people, and then you're
And
pretty
special
much
bullets.
fine. And special, like,
Well, a lot of bullets.
I would be better if they had special bullets. They
Yeah.
don't even have special bullets yet. Give us special bullets.
Maybe
totally
the bullets
before
have
UV
been
rounds.
Blessed by a
Purified.
priest. Yes. Okay.
And we
All
don't know yet.
All right. Yes. There's a backstory. There's a priest that just works at the bullet factory that they all have.
Why not?
Blesses them all.
Yes, with holy
Okay,
water.
Great.
I'd be
His
excited to
his
see
name's
that.
Carl the priest. It's a tie-in to the movie.
Van Helsing. Yes. Love it.
Great.
And I'm okay with the whole shooting them down too, as so long as they're dead. But even in the beginning of the first episode, they're like, okay, we're in ammo rationing, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you're spending
That's
a
true.
lot of your ammos right now.
Yeah.
Like all your resources.
Firing
How
pretty
much do you really
indiscriminately.
have?
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it sounds like
To be fair,
they're running out.
at one point he like grabs a feral vampire by the like scruff of his collar, but then shoots him in the stomach. It's like, come on, what are you doing? Like, come on, you know exactly how these guys work now. He's very showboaty. Is what I'm getting at.
Very. Let's get a little bit back to Axel and Doc, though. Doc. Unfortunately, Doc got turned in the first episode already.
Right.
Well, it was more in the second episode, but in the
Yeah.
first episode, she was already
She's been
a
the
vampire.
entire time,
But
right.
keeping her alive.
With his own blood, they're so in love.
Do you really think that?
I
though?
hope so.
Do you think for that short amount of time that they had together, that they knew each other before he
3 years.
was giving, but before giving
Yeah, he's
the
kept her there for
orders to help save her or like protect her, and then she turned within like that day to keep
No,
her
he
alive
had
that
been
much?
with her for 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
No, for 3 years
As
for
a-
this
as a vampire.
as the
You're right.
first one. But in the
Oh, I
second
thought it was
episode,
longer that they had before she turned. Like it had been at least.
I guess it's been like months, maybe. We can assume.
I thought it was at least like 6
days,
months or something. No,
weeks.
because the guy, I'm blanking on his names, but the ones who exited the building, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to kill myself if I'm still here."
Smith and Gomez.
I'm hoping it's more than just a month. Like I
would
thought it was
believe
like
that then,
almost
yeah.
a year,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
and then that made more sense
So I
of him
believe, yeah, that
getting
they've at
feelings
least
for
spent
that.
enough time
Let's say
together.
at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you're in that
spend some
close
time.
quarters and there's no other females too, just
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, you pick the ones you like pretty
Yeah.
quick. No, but also
Yes.
like there's that great moment where the female commanding officer is like barking orders at the doctor,
and he's automatically nice to her.
he's automatically nice, and then she automatically like turns to him too, and is
Yes.
like, "Can you like tell her to do a thing?" It's
They
really
click.
cute. They click. It's just I felt it.
so you're
I
rooting
felt
for
it.
Axel and the
Axel and
Doc.
the
Yes.
doctor,
Okay.
Daxel.
She's an interesting
Ship
enough
that
character
Daxel,
that
y'all.
I
Are you
feel
for
they'll
that
keep her
character?
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll keep her on. This might be early predictions or whatnot, but we learned the Doc has a sister who knows what's going on.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
has the clearance
situ-
to actually
yeah.
know what's
Yes.
going on.
I think you would have warned your sister a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. But
You like their fake Skype too, by the way? The G Skype.
G Skype.
Skype.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I think we'll see the sister though.
Yes, I hope so.
Probably.
I mean, if not,
She might have been at a safe facility.
Yeah.
Safer.
Safer, maybe.
I mean, especially if she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that she will have a crack team of vampire hunters. Like, if the idea, because Van Helsing is a vampire hunter. Like in the old Dracula story, I would love for her to like, oh, you have that vampire hunter blood. It's just in you. Like, I want some of that. Something tie in, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you're a hunter. Like they've existed forever. They have Wolverine powers like you do.
Yeah. Those are very convenient powers to have in a vampire apocalypse.
I always-
Dude, Wolverine would definitely be
I'm
helpful.
really curious if they have Wolverine in this universe, and if someone can say to her, "You have Wolverine powers," and she's like the movie. It's
Just like the character.
just like that Hugh
Oh.
Jackman guy.
I love when
they're like,
shows and movies actually reference the fact that we all watch shows and movies. That's like, I know we're comparing a lot to zombies, but the show kind of has a zombie feel.
Yeah.
But in like a zombie show, when they acknowledge that we all watch zombie movies, because
Yeah.
it's like you can't ignore that. So it's like
Yeah.
in this that they kind of might be like vampire, but they said vampire
Yeah,
without
he's like,
any
I feel
issue.
stupid calling it this, but vampires.
The blood
I think he
sucking.
says,
Yeah.
Like, I do appreciate
They
their
drink blood.
self-awareness
Yes.
on these shows, which is what we love.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what happens. Other than the fact that we learn Vanessa's blood has something in it that
Changes
Did
changes
it look like
back.
something was crawling around in her blood when they showed that slide? Did you guys notice that? So it was like the
didn't
red blood
notice.
cells, and then it looked like there was like a slug thing crawling through it. And I was like, ew, what is that?
like a
No, I didn't
parasitic
see it.
kind of thing.
Yeah, but it might be like antigen, kind of something parasite for her.
It's the
Like it's good
Patronus
for
in
her,
her
bad
blood.
for them.
Oh,
Kind of something.
I like that.
And then that makes sense of it being like an active killer to
Like
them.
an antibody, yeah.
Yeah.
That like
Thank
she
you. I was gonna
imparts
say I
to
was like
them.
the other anti something.
Antimatter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Antipasta.
But yeah, that shot where they're like, let's leave the blood slide. It looked like there was like this worm thing crawling. I mean, it might have been some other something,
It
but
could have just been a worm on your TV, but
no,
if
it was in
that,
it was in
no,
the
I'm
movie
just
in the show.
Okay, in the movie show.
In the movie show.
Yeah.
Well, if it's 2 episodes, you know.
Yeah, it's basically
Essentially a little movie.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
covering both. Anything else about these episodes that really stood out to you, that you really enjoyed or really looking forward to?
I hope they use more light. I feel it's been a lot of red
Pretty
light
dark.
Yeah.
in both episodes. And it was, she's under the red light. Her apartment kind of had the red light. I mean, it might have been the TV we watch on, but still, it felt like very one color of light or gray.
Well, I liked how you brought up the red because I also have in my notes the use of red in this. I think was actually very well done because just the symbolism of red. There's danger, there's blood, then
Lust.
cause
For sure.
caution, lust.
Red, huh?
Red, yes, there you go. Thank you, Andrew. But I think it was very well done because in the situations that they showed it, it always just caused danger.
Yeah.
We knew something was lurking.
The female elite vampire has red hair, and you only saw that in one of the shots where she actually got her hair backlit. Otherwise, you couldn't really tell it
It
was
just
red.
was dark.
Rebecca,
Yeah.
played by Laura Manel, she's awesome.
Oh yeah, it said 3 years later in the second episode. Thank you. Someone said that. So
Yeah, it
the
was
second
3 years
episode is 3 years later. But I guess it's still a little unclear of how much time he had before she got bit.
Right.
Because
right.
that's like
the
a
time they spent before
Yeah.
the bite happened.
Yeah, because they decided to leave later.
Right. How
Yeah.
long it took a trader friend to leave. Can we talk really quick about Trader Friend? Because Trader Friend made me really sad because you basically get the idea that he met the vampires, the bad vampires. They probably tortured him or something because they sent him back to get this girl, right? That, I don't know. I just felt really sad for him. He was clearly very desperate. He should not have gone at it that way at all. He should not have had that knife. It was a dumb idea for him to have that because that's why he's dead. Is because that knife got put through her hand, through his eye.
Karma.
Yeah.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
What
It's
do you
just if his real plan was to give her to the vampires so that the vampires can whatever, he could have talked to her about it or tricked her or anything else. He was pretty good at being tricky before that. He just no, but I have to be stupid now. I was just mad at him. Just had to point that out.
Well, I don't think we
jerk.
were really expecting a traitor so early on in the show, so I think that might have seemed like why it came out of left field. but I like the fact that other people, like what seems like the elites, got to him first. Because his mission was to go to the Pentagon or back to base camp. They didn't even make it all the way.
That's terrifying. Okay, so they didn't make it all the way. I was going to
that's
say, so they made it to base camp.
Was
and
that the
base
40
camp had to
miles?
The
leave?
40 miles back to base camp. On foot. But they didn't even make it back to base camp, which means that whatever interfered or intercepted them was a lot closer than what they really think they are.
Yeah.
You know? It's closer to where they are.
Yeah.
Danger.
What do you guys think of the gore? That shot with the guy hanging and like disemboweling,
just hanging out, and he has no
like,
arms.
Ooh, poor guy.
It reminded me of American Horror Story. It was just very like, ugh, okay, great, gross.
But that was the only one that was really like
Visually.
gnarly.
Yeah.
So they kind of saved it of like, okay, we're not gonna have. There's some like when she gets attacked and it's like the blood. I thought that was weird. Is like the vampire's biting her neck and going at it, and then I'm gonna bite your belly and rip open your belly shirt area. I'm like, what? That was kind of weird. But
Yeah, I thought if they were gonna do that, they just might as well have it be like, I'm gonna bite just your cleavage off. All right, okay, there it is. You know,
it just
Just
seems
like
strange of moving spots. Like, what's
turning
wrong
your
with the neck?
pants
Was
into
he good?
shorts. Like, it's just very obvious. Like,
We made her
I'm
a
gonna
midriff.
I'm making you a sexy outfit with my attacks.
No, I think it goes to show that they're not just the typical vampires that we always see
Yeah,
in
they're
movies
weird.
and shows
They're
where they just
sexy
go to the
vampires.
neck.
Yeah.
It's that they're more animalistic and they'll just rip you apart
Everywhere.
in any shape
Yeah.
and form anywhere on the body.
Yeah,
like
these
they really
ferals,
don't
man.
care about your physical
They
appearance.
barely speak English.
But they do.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them can talk. Even the doc
doctor
was
did.
talking.
Eventually.
She was
And they
mostly just
have
like,
physical mobility. Like
Yeah.
there's cognitive abilities with them.
absolutely.
Yes.
They can run. That
There's
makes
that
them
amazing
scary.
moment with the deaf dude. Is it deaf? Is he deaf? He's deaf, right?
We
that ama-
supposedly.
There's an amazing,
Supposedly.
yeah, right. Supposedly, there's an amazing moment with him and the doctor when she's a vampire, and he just like she like hisses at him, and he like does a move at her, and she like cowers, and he just kind of smiles like, "You're afraid. You're an animal. It's fine. We're good. You're not a monster. I get it. We're connected." I like him a lot. He says a lot without saying anything.
He's one of those guys.
It's an interesting addition to have that kind of a character.
Yeah. Do you think he'll be a threat in the future, or
hope
will
he's a
he
good
be
character.
an
I
adversary?
hope he's good.
I hope he's good too, because he's also like that actor plays a villain character on Hell on Wheels, I think, and I would love to see him just be a real lovable giant. He's pretty jerky in the other one.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Anything else about this episode
I'm trying to think.
that we may have missed?
I mean, I would also like to point out, as much as I love the Doctor, I feel like she messed up when she tried to shut the door on that soldier in the way that
That
she
was
did.
a little shitty.
It was super shitty, and she also like tried to push his face away, like,
Yes.
no, you're get off."
Well,
Like,
it came back and literally bit her, so.
yeah, it literally bit
Yes.
her
Bit
in the
her.
arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bummer
she was
town.
trying to do the right thing. She had good intentions.
She's also,
She did.
Let's talk about how I like that she's actually was first presented when we get to see her backstory as a strong female character as well. Like,
I like her.
no nonsense, give it to me straight. Like, and then
Can
I
someone
want to do
please
my job.
explain things?
Don't waste
Yeah.
my time.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked her. I like her.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it's not really past tense
No,
yet.
not
really
yet.
bad.
Oh God, don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that takes us into predictions then.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
All right, so
I never understand why the predictions are haunted.
it's cool.
I was doing
we
more
can
like
see the
it's like a-
future.
yeah, it's more like
Oh, it's like the Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Look into the mirror ball.
It,
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so Andrew, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, obviously, Vanessa Van Helsing is going to fall madly in love with that guy, Axel, because he's so dreamy.
That shower scene.
Yeah, that shower scene.
I can see some
She
sexual tension
probably looked around a little bit before she decided to take his gun.
there. She took a peek.
Yeah, she took a peek. She took a little peek. Yeah, she's human. And she's been in a coma for a
Well,
while.
he
Let's be
took a
real.
peek, obviously, too.
mean,
Within 3
At
years,
least
he's like, I've seen
he's
everything.
seen everything. He's bored by it, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's seen it all.
Slightly creepy, but
unless the doctor's the one who dressed her. I like that she's not wearing like the tiniest underwear.
tiniest white.
It's at
yeah.
least shorts
Yeah,
and a top.
it's like full on shorts too. It's
Yeah.
like you're,
and not like
not like Ripley and Alien shorts.
Yeah.
which is just boy
that's pretty
shorts.
much like yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, Carrie.
I think there are other vampire units out there. I don't know how many. I don't know where they are, but there must be other ones.
Yeah.
I want the Doctor to get reversed. So these are predictions / what I would like to happen.
Right. Yep.
I want the Doctor to get cured by Vanessa's blood, and that to be a regular thing / them maybe harvest it and have it ready. Like some sort of like someone's turning in, like get the injection and like do it at the source, and maybe it can solve the problem right away. I want to say her daughter maybe still is alive.
I know her daughter is alive.
Yeah.
We're gonna see her daughter. The question for me is, does her daughter have the same thing that she does, where she can turn vampires?
That's a
with
good
her blood?
question.
Yeah,
Or
genetics.
is her daughter different because of her father? And like, who is her father? We don't really know.
Well, yeah.
How old do we think she is? Like 13?
Well,
Dylan?
she was
Sounds
like
she was like
four-
10.
Okay, I was gonna
Maybe
say
10.
14.
Might be older. I don't know.
So hard to tell. But so she's gonna be like early to
Mid-teen.
mid-teen.
Like
now.
Preteen teen.
I want her to like find her and like she's also a awesome like badass.
Awesome
or
badass.
something.
Yeah, she's
Well,
been
'cause
fighting vampires.
She's
ever
older
since.
now, so yeah. All
3
my
years on the streets, Mom, fighting vampires. Where were you?
all my predictions are basically yours too. I think they'll track down Doc's sister, who we learn is Dr. Grace, and whether she's alive or she's still human. And yes, they're definitely going to use Vanessa's blood to revert the Doc back.
Yes.
But because we also see in the beginning of the second episode that Vanessa was donating blood, so there's a blood bank of more of Vanessa's
more
blood.
of her blood,
So if they
yeah.
go back to that location, get that blood, and then maybe harvest it.
Sorry, I wanted to chime in.
Please.
Anybody else notice how when Vanessa was donating blood, that guy was not wearing gloves?
Oh my gosh, I did notice that actually.
That drove me nuts. I'm like, no, I
Not only
donated
does he
blood. They
not-
absolutely have gloves and like
Not
they
only
don't
does
even wrap
he-
it.
Is he unprofessional and hits on her? But
That one's pretty bad
Yeah.
too. But the
Come on,
gloves,
dude.
because
Wear
that's the
gloves.
first shot.
wear gloves. Be nice at work. Come on, dude.
Yes. I don't
He could have been way more subtle about.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever had your blood drawn like when you go to the doctors at least?
I
Like that
have,
one,
actually.
they wear gloves.
I have.
you-
I just don't
Wait,
really
do
think
you-
about them.
Do you have blood?
wearing gloves.
Wait, does
No, she
What?
said she hadn't donated.
Oh.
I don't donate.
I was gonna say,
blood.
wait, you don't
I
have
should.
blood? Is she a vampire?
Maybe.
Vampires sort of have blood.
Oh wait.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
In their
That's something I
tummies.
completely overlooked, is the fact that
Anyway.
I didn't have the whatever.
We could digress.
It was one
I
of the first
don't
things
think
in the
he's
episode.
relevant.
So.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think
But it was one of those like something's okay. Like that was a bad thing on the show's part of. I don't think he's that unprofessional a doctor that he's not wearing gloves because it's like your own safety.
Or maybe that her blood is just not unsanitized.
Or he was ready to share
That's the
fluids
reason why.
anyway, so he didn't care.
Oh,
hell.
maybe maybe that's his real subtle way of being like, baby, I'm ready for anything.
All right,
I don't
I
even
think
have gloves.
I think
on.
we'll end it there.
All right.
In the meantime, where can everyone keep following you?
You guys can find me online at Kari Lane. That's KaridLane.
Hey, find me on Instagram at the Andrew Mena and on Twitter at Andrew Mena.
Great, and you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Let us know what you think about this show. It's a brand new show on SyFy. We're really excited to keep talking about the show and
Yeah.
guests to come.
Yay.
Working on guests too.
Give us those iTunes reviews.
Yeah.
We love
5
those.
stars.
5
Rate and
stars.
comment on iTunes, tell a friend, and we will be here talking
Yeah.
about this
If
show.
you write a review, we'll read it aloud or something.
Exactly. So do it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.